Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Katie Asco from Dublin, Ireland, and these are your latest headlines from around the world. On the second day of his apostolic visit to Kazakhstan, Pope Francis said it is imperative to renew faith in the crucified Jesus and look to him to learn from his love. During the Holy Mass celebrated on the Expo grounds in Nur Sultan on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross on Wednesday, the pontiff reiterated that the path to salvation and resurrection is to behold the crucified Christ. He said that, quote, "If we keep our gaze fixed on Jesus, the sting of evil can no longer prevail over us, for on the cross he took upon himself the venom of sin and death and crushed their destructive power." At the end of Mass in Nur Sultan, he prayed for all war-torn areas in the world, including Ukraine, and called for dialogue on the path toward peace. A bilateral agreement was signed between the Holy See and the Republic of Kazakhstan on Wednesday to strengthen their bonds of collaboration. The new pact facilitates the granting of visas for church personnel coming from abroad to work among the Kazakh faithful. The deal was inked on the sidelines of Pope Francis's visit to Kazakhstan for the 7th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions in Nur Sultan from September 13th to 15th. It was signed by the Holy See Secretary for Relations with States, Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, and the Kazakh Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs. The new deal aims to implement Article 2 of the 1998 bilateral agreement, facilitating the granting of visas and residence permits to ecclesiastical and religious personnel coming from abroad and engaged in the pastoral care of the Catholic faithful in Kazakhstan. On Tuesday morning, the third day of his apostolic visit to Kazakhstan, Pope Francis delivered an address to Kazakh prelates, priests, members of religious communities, and the laity in Nur Sultan. In his speech at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Perpetual Succor, the Pope said that the faith is always present and endures in everyone who sheds the light of the gospel. The pontiff reminded the crowd that no one is a foreigner in the church, as everyone is one single holy people of God. He said God is revealed to all people who have become fellow heirs, members of the same body, and sharers in the promise of Jesus through the gospel. On the occasion, he also blessed a new icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help in the sanctuary, which depicts the Blessed Mother, the infant Jesus, and angels with Kazakh features. In the United States, the organization Catholic Vote has invited all believers to take part in the upcoming novena to St Michael the Archangel. The aim of the novena is to seek the Archangel's protection over Catholic churches and help centers for pregnant women. Across the nation, these have been the subjects of repeated attacks by pro-abortion groups since Roe v. Wade was overturned by the US Supreme Court on June 24th. The novena will start on September 20th and will conclude 9 days later on the Feast of the Archangels St Michael, Gabriel and Raphael. Catholic Vote, a leading advocacy organization in the United States that stands for faith, family and freedom, has also exhorted pro-life organizations that have been attacked to take part in the 9-day prayer. In Ireland, the High Court has refused an injunction that would have granted release to an evangelical Christian teacher who was jailed for refusing to use gender-neutral pronouns in schools. Mr. Enoch Burke was imprisoned after his school filed a complaint when he turned up for class while on paid suspension pending disciplinary action. Mr. Burke was back in Dublin's Mountjoy prison, where he has been held for more than a week for breaching a court order not to teach at Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath. In court, the teacher said that he was being persecuted for his Christian faith. When asked by Judge Eileen Roberts if he would abide by the order, Mr. Burke said, "I cannot do that. I go back to jail as a law-abiding citizen of the state always, but God first." The Spanish Marian Sanctuary of Torre Ciudad is going to host the 30th Marian Day of the Family on September 17th after a gap of 2 years. With the lifting of restrictions from the pandemic, hundreds of families are expected to arrive in the sanctuary for the event, which is centered on the Blessed Virgin. Bishop Juan Carlos Elizalde of Victoria has encouraged Catholic families to take part in the pilgrimage. He said the family grows to the rhythm of the sacraments, which provide roots to grow and recover the original project of marriage and the family. On the day of the pilgrimage, there will be Holy Mass, an offering to the Blessed Mother, and the Rosary. There will also be a collection of materials for Ukrainian refugees living in Spain. In the US state of Ohio on Wednesday, a judge temporarily barred the enforcement of a statewide ban on abortion. The state's anti-abortion law banning the termination of pregnancy after 6 weeks was challenged by Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. Judge Christian Jenkins of the Hamilton County Court in Cincinnati ruled that the Constitution of the state includes the right to abort children. As the order of the judge expires in 2 weeks, the plaintiffs have asked the judge for another ban to block the law as long as the case is ongoing. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is reviewing the decision and will hold a consultation with the state's Republican governor about the next steps to be taken. In 2019, the state passed a law prohibiting abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected, with exceptions if the health of the mother is believed to be in danger. Late on Wednesday, news agency Reuters quoted a senior Armenian official saying that a fresh truce has been declared with Azerbaijan after 2 days of fighting. The 2-day conflict has left 105 Armenian troops dead and is linked to a decades-old dispute over a territory that is technically within Azerbaijan but is inhabited by ethnic Armenians. There was fighting between both sides 2 years ago, but Russia brokered a peace treaty and deployed 2,000 peacekeeping troops. Hundreds died in that conflict, and many historic churches and monasteries were either destroyed or damaged. Both nations blame each other for violating the ceasefire. The men's rosary, which began in Poland and later spread to Ireland and the United States, has now spread across the globe. This year's event will witness Catholic men from nations spanning all 5 continents praying the rosary. As part of the initiative on October 8th, the rosary will be prayed in some part of the world across a consecutive 24-hour period. Among countries participating are the US, Canada, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, and 7 other Latin American nations. In Asia, believers in India, Malaysia, and Lebanon will officially join. Africa will be represented by believers from Zambia, while Australia will represent the Oceania region. From Europe, Catholic men from Italy, the Czech Republic, Ireland, Poland, the Netherlands, Croatia, Spain, France, and Luxembourg will take part in the prayer event. The United Nations Children Emergency Fund has warned that more than 500,000 Somali children under 5 are at risk of dying due to acute malnutrition and hunger resulting from famine this year. The nation in the Horn of Africa is witnessing a looming humanitarian disaster, which is believed to be unprecedented. During a press conference in Geneva, UNICEF spokesperson James Elder said that more than 500,000 children are facing preventable death. As the Horn of Africa experiences a failed rainy season for the 5th time, parts of the region will be hit with famine. The prediction of 513,000 children likely to suffer from acute malnutrition marks a 30% hike from an estimate in June. Last week, more than 700 children died of malnutrition in various parts of the country, said UNICEF. In Muslim-majority Pakistan, the Supreme Court has instructed state officials to exercise utmost caution when dealing with cases related to blasphemy. This comes as the blasphemy law is rampantly used to target people belonging to vulnerable minority communities. A panel of judges has noted that blasphemy cases receive a lot of attention and have the potential to compromise the conduct of a fair and regular legal process. They pointed out that fabricated blasphemy charges are used to settle personal vendetta, and Judge Issa stressed that the prosecution should never be influenced by moral outrage. He also said that the state should undertake a meticulous and diligent probe into the alleged crime in such cases. Meanwhile, Christian and human rights groups have welcomed the decision of the court. The conflict between federal troops and armed ethnic militia in Myanmar continues to target Catholic places of worship. Between September 8th and 12th, government troops desecrated the Catholic church dedicated to the Mother of God in Pekin Diocese in the eastern part of the country. Troops destroyed statues and sacred objects while staying in the church for 5 days. They also laid anti-personnel mines all over the church, including among the furniture before their departure. Vicar of the parish, Father Julio, told Fidesz news agency that these are heinous and disrespectful acts that need to be condemned and that churches have to be spared from the conflict. The area is witnessing a fierce battle between the Burmese army and the resistance fighters of the People's Defence Forces. Those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow and visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.